In Messe Stuttgart, India's tradition of propelling crucial industry-related conversations, we now transition to our second session of the day, Industry 4.0 Transformations, Strategies and Insights. Today, our focus includes the importance of a structured approach in the Industry 4.0 adoption, overcoming challenges in the 4.0 adoption, and we will also be discussing evaluating the business impact and the ROI when these transitions are happening. I request you all to kindly be seated as we are starting off with the second session. This session will also delve into future-centric discussions like the role of employees in Industry 4.0 transformation and anticipating future trends and developments. Get ready for an engaging and thought-provoking dialogue that aims to shape the trajectory of the industry's digital transformation. Let's dive into the realm of the Industry 4.0 together. Please join me in welcoming the distinguished speakers of the second session of FASTNEX 2024 conference. Can I have on stage Mr. Avinash Khare, ex-Tata Motors and Consulting SME. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to Mr. Avinash Khare. Thank you, Mr. Khare, for joining us here. Our next panelist is Mr. Amitabh Chaturvedi, founder and director of SF Hawk. Sir, we request you to kindly join us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you will keep the applause coming. We have a distinguished panel of speakers with us who are ready to share their insights into the industry with you. Next on stage, can we have Mr. Saurabh Kumar Singh, Director, Systems Engineering. Welcome, Mr. Singh. We will shortly have Mr. Abhijat Sanghvi, President, FAI, joining us on the stage. These speakers bring their wealth of knowledge and experience promising to illuminate the path forward in our exploration of Industry 4.0. Let's embrace the insights and inspirations that they're about to share with us today. Let me start by introducing our panel on the stage. Mr. Avinash Khare, an electrical engineer, boasts of 33 years at Tata Motors, excelling in electronic product development, procurement, maintenance, and application of high-tech machinery. Post-retirement, he offers freelance consultancy in Industry 4.0, automation, EV technology, and conducts training courses while coordinating international seminars on manufacturing technologies. Welcome, Mr. Khare. Mr. Amitabh Chaturvedi, founder and director of SF Hawk, holds a postgraduate degree in industrial engineering with over 34 years of experience in the automotive industry. Serving as the head of manufacturing for all 4 plants of STL in the past 11 years, he has demonstrated leadership in various roles, including plant head and head of quality assurance. His extensive industry knowledge has contributed to STL's technological development and operational excellence, leading to accolades such as ACMA Gold Trophy for digitization in 2021 and 2022. Mr. Saurabh Kumar Singh, the Director of Systems Engineering in the MT Connect Institute, AMT, is a seasoned professional with over 7 years of expertise in smart manufacturing domain. Leading efforts in information modeling and MBSE, he has contributed significantly to the standard development, including OPC, UA, NCLing, and Spark Plug-B. His proficiency spans in information and systems modeling, edge computing, shop floor connectivity, automation, and decentralized manufacturing cells. Welcome, Mr. Singh. And last but not the least, please join me in welcoming Mr. Abhijat Sanghvi, a second-generation entrepreneur with over 30 years of experience in the fasteners industry, serving as the esteemed president of Fasteners Association of India. His enduring commitment and leadership make him a recognized and respected name in the fastener and fixing world. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you so much for gracing us with your presence today. We eagerly anticipate the wealth of knowledge you're about to share with us. The floor is all yours. A big round of applause, everyone.
So, Ladies and gentlemen, Industry 4 is omnipresent. It is everywhere. We hear a lot about it. And still, people are not pretty much clear why they should do it and how much they should do it, when they should do it. Okay. Generally, we have a tendency that we go for low hanging fruit first. That is the approach when one is not sure, particularly of ROI part, that what do you get by investing. The knee jerk reaction is that, okay, try doing something small in a small way, take some baby steps. Okay. So, for all practical purposes, a big section of Indian industry feels that Industry 4 is OEE. Industry 4 is productivity improvement. Industry 4 is planned maintenance or predictive maintenance, condition based maintenance, and stuff like that. But mind you, all these things, it's not that we have not been doing. When Industry 4 was not even born 20, 30 years back, since then we have been doing all these things. So then the big question is, what do we get by doing it? What more do we get other than automation? Okay. So basically, if something was important for business, people were doing it. If it was not that important, they were not doing it. So why they should do it now through Industry 4? Okay. And that's the focus of this session. We want to dwell on the various aspects of Industry 4. Now, each one of us have heard that story of elephant and blind men. Okay. Now, elephant has 4 legs. Industry 4 has 9 pillars. Okay. So the perception of what is Industry 4, it varies. It has a lot of subjectivity, and actually nobody is clear about the holistic picture of what it is and what it ought to be and what we should do about it. So that is where the structured approach comes into play. Rather than taking some isolated steps and doing it on ad hoc basis, piecemeal, it is better to be clear about how we are going to have the full building, maybe 3, 4, 5 floor building. Okay. Now today you may be building the ground floor, but you should be aware that next floor, 4 floors are coming above that. Okay. You can go step by step, all right, but then the vision has to be clear, the planning has to be clear, and it has to be compatible. Okay. So that's the idea of discussing the structured approach into Industry 4.0. Now, ultimately, everything has to converge into better business performance. Okay. So that is the holistic picture. And once you say you are doing Industry 4, it has to be something that we are not already doing and we could not do. So what is that delta new that Industry 4 will fetch us, and so that it becomes attractive for us to pursue that journey. Okay. Now, with that concept in mind, 9 pillars are there. But before I go to structure of the Industry 4 per se, let me ask, since this is about FASTNEX, let me ask Mr. Abhijat, of what does the fastener industry expect of Industry 4? What are your main pain points today, where you are looking for some magic potion or some solution that should come through Industry 4 to help you out?
Good afternoon, everybody. Industry 4.0 is something which I mentioned. Okay, going back to what I mentioned in the previous seminar, is our industry is structured in such a way. I don't know if you heard it, but we are almost the top 25 to 30 companies constitute almost 70% of the business or the market share. And it's almost 3,000 plus MSMEs which feature the rest. It could be micro, small, some medium. The top 25 companies are very clear on their understanding of 4.0. 4.0 will include Internet of Things, will include using sensors in the right places, having automation and robotics, cloud computing, virtual reality, augmented reality, like 3D printing, which we could use for our sampling and so on. I'm sure the top 25 companies are very much aware of them. A couple of them, one of them I spoke to, they said they've already implemented a major part of it. Uh, the others I haven't got an opportunity, but I'm assuming with the scale they have, with the kind of customers they are catering to, and their understanding and their vision, I'm sure it's in the right place. Now it comes back to the rest of the people, the MSMEs. I can tell you for a fact that a major part of them wouldn't have even heard of 4.0 as of now. It's the concept has started gaining momentum in the last couple of years. I was in a trade show in Shanghai in 2018, and that time they had a seminar on 4.0. Obviously, we know the seeds are from Germany, and then it's percolated, and it's all easy to say that we go into automation, robotics. Somebody was talking today of, and I don't know this for a fact. This is hearsay. Is one fastener company uh, being completely automated with no human intervention at all. I didn't find out how practical that would be, but anyway, this is hearsay. So for us, this is more a learning session for me, to be honest, as to how we can slowly percolate this concept to people first with just basic awareness. Awareness is the first step, right? And after that, practically, how many of those steps can slowly start being percolated and eventually transform it, resulting in better quality, resulting in more cost competitiveness, which we were discussing. The automatic, the benefits will be seen, and which we can from that point of view. So, yes, like I said, just to sum it up, it's there for a few people in the industry. We ourselves as an association even yet haven't had a seminar on 4.0. This was a coincidence, so now I'm sure this will kick us to take it further and create greater awareness about that. And that's the whole idea, right? It's a learning process. It's never-ending process. This will go on. But if the first topic which we talked about, meeting global demands and being ready for the world, this is the right step towards that. So more importantly, if I'm giving it back to Mr. Kare, but I would look at it more as understanding with the knowledge you all have of how you can also guide us on our industry.
Well, to elaborate on something that you mentioned, let me first put the overall structure of Industry 4 in place. Okay. Now it has got 9 pillars, but what is 9 pillars doing? I mean, pillars cannot be there in standalone. Something has to come on top of pillars. So what sits on top of pillars is ultimately AIML, artificial intelligence. So something that AIML will do will enable you to do things that you are currently not able to do. So that is the top floor of the building. Okay. And talking of 9 pillars, of course, the popular pillar is industrial Internet of Things and smart sensors. First, you have to get data from production. Okay. So you have to put sensors on your machines, on your automation system, on your inspection, and everywhere, wherever you can. So you acquire data from horse's mouth directly, so that it directly goes to computer. There is no manual involvement, or there could be manual involvement. It could be typed in through HMI at various assembly points where the activity is predominantly manual. So that is the most important first pillar, where most of the Indian companies today are struggling with the first pillar itself. We have not gone beyond that. Now, beyond that, of course, once you have done that, you will generate a lot of data, the big data. Now, if you have big data, where to store the big data, how to handle that big data. So you need to go for cloud technologies, because you can't afford those kind of IT hardware resources to store that much data. And the kind of data is different. Nowadays, it is not Excel sheet, it's not numbers, not something that can fit in a table. It will be movie files, it will be simulations, it will be GPS data, which will acquire lot of memory. And the access time has to be very fast, and it has to be very friendly. Data should be available anywhere, anytime, in a user-friendly manner, but with due authorizations, of course, with security. Okay. So cloud-based technology goes together with having big data. Okay. Now, after you have data, what do? You have to learn from data. So you have the virtual world, where you can do prediction, techno-astrology if you please. Okay. For your next project, you can predict what would be the performance like, what would be the cost like. Before starting any investment, you should be able to simulate the market condition and see how you stand in that scenario. Now that is something you were not able to do before. Now this thing is an added dimension with this kind of data analytics, right? Now after that, of course, it's not that we have not been having data, we have been having data, but data has been residing in silos. So grand integration of all the data, hardware and software platforms, so that from shop floor you have connectivity to top floor up to business level. So there should be visibility of what is happening to your schedule on your machine, on your shop floor, what is your inventory, right up to the business level. There has to be integration, so that decisions are much more dynamic, they are much more responsive, they are much more adaptive. Okay. So to that extent, it gives you a kind of unprecedented competence for performance, business performance. Okay. And there are, you have, if you have a lot of data, it presents another problem. That lot of data means lot of clutter. I mean, I remember in North India, I know that there are calendars like Kal Nirnay and all, you know. If you see those calendars, it is cluttered with lot of data. Both sides of the leaf, there is not a square inch of space spared. Right from yogasanas, recipes, everything, anything and everything is there. But does anybody read it? Can anybody refer it? Because it is unorganized, it is not friendly, you cannot find out what you need at a given time. So there is another pillar which is called as augmented reality. Now what is augmented reality? It's a goggle with the functionality of a laptop, with the functionality of a cell phone. Whatever you are able to do in a cell phone or in a laptop, you can do in a goggle. Half of the field you see some semi-transparent picture, so pretty much like laptop screen, and you can operate with gestures, with finger gestures. You can press the mouse pad. Whatever you are able to do on your laptop or a mobile phone. You can record movies, you can transmit movies, you can do chatting, you can refer manuals, you can, everything you can do, and it is hands-free. So while working, you wear it and you are carrying your artificial intelligence together with your head. So as a result, I give you an example. In this kind of exhibition, many times you see faces, but you know, you seem to know the fellow, but you are not able to recall who. Now, once you use AR to the hilt, if it is supported by software, your software will do face recognition and pop up the visiting card of that person in your field of view. So without him knowing, you can know who the person is who is approaching you. And not only that, it can automatically mine through your emails and find out what was the last discussion you had with him, what is the context, so you know what to talk to him also. Okay. Now this is something which adds an additional dimension, that you are able to know what to talk to whom. Otherwise you go casually, you meet, you just say hello, hi, you discuss weather, you discuss politics, but you don't discuss what you should be discussing. Okay. So as executive, it drastically improves your performance and efficiency. And not just that, suppose your operator is picking up a job. The goggle tells him that similar job, when was it was made, what was the mistake made. So it is a one-line instruction given to the right time and just the right instruction. So there are chances that he will follow it. Otherwise, you clutter your wall with lot of work instruction, but guideline which nobody reads and nobody can possibly follow also. So that's the kind of refinement in operation that is anticipated with this kind of Industry 4 structure, right? Then because we are having everything in data, most of it is data automation driven. Now, the thing is data resides. What do we get in our real world, in our shop floor, in our machines? So there has to be some output via media. So there are two pillars. One is the 3D printing or additive manufacturing, where based on that model you have to produce the part. And the other one is a robotic automation. adaptive robotic automation or a cobot autonomous robot, where you can do the same thing for automation and material logistics. So you have a handle that virtual world can control the real world for you. That's the connectivity. And because you are having cloud, because you are having big data, because you are sharing the data to your overseas vendors, etc., there has to be security, cyber security. So it's a hygiene pillar that is there. Now these are the 9-pillar structure that I have spelled out. Above that, of course, sits the AI ML, which will come after you have the 9 pillars. But today, as I said, we are struggling with the first pillar of how to get the data. Okay. So now I hope I have given some insight on what is the structure of Industry 4. Now, if a company is planning to go all out for Industry 4, and Industry 4, let me clarify, is not like ISO. It's not a standard. It is non-prescriptive. It does not tell you what you should do. You have to decide what you want to do, what are your pain points. You have to decide how you are going to do it, at what speed, at what pace. But it is the ultimate vision that has to be clear upfront. Okay. Now with this, I ask Mr. Amitabh ji of his experience of implementing Industry 4 in a structured way in some of the Indian and overseas clients. How does he go about it? What is the customer's perception about, and what are their demands and expectations?
I and our team, we offer SF Hawk as an industry 4.0 or industrial IoT platform. We are Pune based, and we are an IT company, and I am a mechanical engineer turned into an IT, and now the industrial IoT. So coming back to, and also I would like to include Sangvi sir, what you were talking about. I'll take it from there. So let's say we are talking about 70% of SMEs. I always say that when you are thinking of Industry 4.0, the first thing should come is why. Why is that I want to do it? It's not that because, everyone is talking about it. It's, there are a lot of people or even my competitors are doing it. Why is that I should get into this? So, everyone have their own vision, but I always prefer to say that because of the global demands, because India is, now on the verge of becoming, or at least trying to become a global manufacturing hub, it's a great opportunity for us to be, to be ready with the technology, to have modern factories, modern infrastructure and everything, so that we can attract the global the customers. I think this is in my way, when I talk about it, this is the long-term reason why we should start now. Now, coming to the ROI side of it, this question keeps coming up is, well, I'm going to put in these many lakhs, tell me the ROI. Well, in those things, always the way I try to answer that question is, when we, let's say, we go into a cricket coaching class, we don't expect that very soon we'll be in the national team. We start slowly, we get into maybe university level, we play into state level, then we go like slowly. So we have ROIs at a, slowly, but our vision is at playing at the national level. So that's how I always say that your ROI, you should start with very clear ROI, and normally, as Khare sir just said, you can start with the ROI of productivity improvement. That could be the, whatever X%. That is the first level of ROI, but you should not stop there. That should not be your the end game. So that's how the initial ROI and the other things. Now coming to other thing, like Khare sir asked, is the structure. Few things, whenever you are starting Industry 4.0 implementation, there are 2-3 things which are very, very important. First is the vision from the owner. See, it's all these things are top driven. if the owner is not involved, or if owner is not giving the direction to the team, his owner is not, day to day there, this kind of initiatives are most likely not going to go anywhere. The second is the team. So once the owner is clear about the vision and their direction, they have to, percolate this vision to the team. They have to bring the team which is ready to embrace this new technology. And then the team's education, all other things, and then finding the right industry 4.0 partner. That I normally say is the third thing you should do, is to find who is the partner who has the technology knowledge and who has the long-term roadmap to take you from here to here and all the way on the top. You should not go with somebody who only have a very small vision which can take you to only first step and then they struggle and you also struggle. So there is lot of homework which should you have before you start on the journey. You have to have very clarity, in your mind and in your team's mind before you do that. And of course, I can continue to talk on it, but I hope this is what you're looking for, or if I can add any more things.
No, it's fine. Now, what is seen in the market, that either people are only thinking and not doing anything, or on the other extreme, they try to do too many things at a time.
True.
So both of which are the two extremes. You have to start judiciously in the path that you are able to sustain. Okay. So that is what would be my take on it. Talking about ROI, since you mentioned about ROI, now do we think of ROI when we buy Apple iPhone, the latest version smartphone, which is costing a bomb? Now we don't evaluate ROI there, because the delta more features which are there, I'm sure nobody is bothered about it. In fact, 90% of the features that are there in your existing phone also, you might not be aware or you may not be using also. So it's not for the features. It is for future compatibility. Because what happened, if I give you some historical thing, till something like after 2010 also, people like me, my generation people, were very happy with Nokia kind of phone, where you can only send SMS and receive call. That's all that is expected. But when smartphones came, people were resistant to, because they were not comfortable with so much of sophistication. So they thought, why do we need it? But you see how our lives have grown around the smartphone technology. Okay. Today, all your payments, all your identification happens through smartphone. Okay. So now that is what I call as future compatibility. If you don't do it today, you may not remain compatible for the future. The rest of the world will grow with that technology. And the way of life will change going further. So that is an investment you have to make towards the future to remain future compatible. Otherwise, we have to be integrated with the world. We cannot live isolated. Our companies have global aspirations and we have global footprints already. Right? So we can't remain isolated. If rest of the world is doing, surely there is going to be a growth in that direction. So we have to remain compatible with that. And ultimately, like, what is the main driver for Industry 4? Why it is happening in a big way? It is happening because this stupid smartphone. See, please appreciate that smartphone has much more sophisticated computer than what NASA's lunar vehicle had way back in 80s. Now that was costing several $1 million. This is costing 10,000 rupees. Now that being the case, that now you are able to afford to give a smartphone to your maid, to your driver, why can't you give it to your machines, your cutting tool, your fixture, your automation? It makes a lot of sense. And if we could have stupid apps for social networking, why we can't have technical apps which help you in doing your work, help you in doing your business? So the whole thing is driven from that flux of technology. Okay. So I hope I have thrown enough light on how you should do it and what is the ROI. Amitabh ji, what are the challenges of ROI centric thinking that you have faced as a seller in Industry 4 services?
Yeah. I think, as I alluded earlier, ROI centric thinking is very short-term thinking. What happens is, because of that, you know, you tend to have, you don't think aloud in terms of long-term what is that you are going to do. I'll tell you a very simple example. We normally come across companies, they come and say, well, I'm going to put your system, how much efficiency it will increase and what kind of ROIs will be there. I tell them, okay, I'll answer your question, but let me ask you, once we put this system, what would be the next thing that will come in your mind? What is the next thing? Once you start getting data, what is the next thing? And in some cases, normally they don't know the answer. But let me give you an example, or maybe this is related to your industry, the FASTNEX industry. And whatever limited knowledge I have, let me give you some use cases, how you can think about it. So let's say the first thing we do is we connect our machines, try to find out its losses, try to reduce the losses, try to understand where you can improve the machine utilization, and you improve your efficiency to 10, 15, whatever percent. That's stage number one, in my opinion. Your ROI starts coming in, and I'll give you some actual use cases also. But what next? Now let me give you next example. So now this was the productivity related improvement which you could perform. Now let's talk about the quality. What can you do with quality when you have this kind of data coming in? I was talking to one of the dye manufacturers in Nasik, and they were saying that they don't know the dye life. They don't know how many bolts this dye has produced. So the next thing, if you have this in your industry, you have this challenge that it's very important for you to have very clear dye life monitoring. So then you same data, you can take the same data or maybe little extra data, and you take the next thing is, now you have very clear life of how many pieces this dye has produced, and you can start sharing with your the dye vendor. So the dye vendor knows ahead of the time that, okay, on these machines I have my dyes, and next month their life will be over, so I can start manufacturing it now. So this is how you can start scaling up your improvement plans. And maybe the next thing which I am seeing very clearly is the OEMs have started asking for live quality data, live production data. I don't know whether it's happening in your case or not. And also the traceability data. I was talking to some of the leaders there yesterday. I asked them, have you received this requirement from OEMs that you want to know this lot, which heat code it was built off of? So I'm seeing a lot of traceability requirement coming. So that could be your next thing, and you should be ready, because if your plant has all the data being collected, it would be very easy for you to get into traceability, or if you have to share the data with your customers, all those things. So that is the thing. When you have a very small ROI related direction, then you don't think of all these things which are possible. So I always say that go small, but think large, think big. So this is how I would.
What is your take now that you learned something about Industry 4 and structure? Now, based on your industry requirements,
I was going to respond to him right away. Is that in our industry, most of the business is done on credit. Is done on credit, right? You don't get paid upfront. You get paid after 60 days, 90 days, depending on the customer. By the time you source the raw material, you pay that money upfront. You may stock it for a bit. Some companies have they want Kanban, and we are supposed to stock for them. Then after production, so production cycle, then holding the stock for some time, then at some stage dispatching it, then the final money coming in after a few months. The working capital cycle is very high. And in MSMEs again here, right, when we were talking of collateral and other collateral-free loans and stuff, people are always a major part of the MSMEs are dependent on banks for working capital. So my advice to you is, as I'm going to hope we can have a session for our industry soon with you, where you can shed light and we can start the awareness part. But my suggestion to you is don't ask me ROI, because then those guys will say, we are anyway running short on working capital. We're going to invest a bit of money in this or a lot of money in this, and then to tell us that we don't know when we'll see the day. So just choose your words carefully. I know what you got it right, but what I mean is, you'll have to touch a chord with people from this point of view, that eventually the Indian mentality ke mileage kitna milega, that will come down to it in some manner. So what you are saying is for the elite few who are absolutely debt free, who have major capex to put, this can be done, and I'm completely with you that yes, these are steps we want to take, right? For dye life, for example, you gave me an example. I'll give you an example. I had like 5 years back, we used to buy our thread rolling dyes from one particular supplier, and it used to cost me 3,000 rupees per dye. Another supplier walks in, new supplier. He says we tied up with this American company, and it's going to give great life, and the dye costs 5,000 rupees. So straight away, my purchase person just kicked him out. So thank you very much. Go back. And then I got briefed on what happened. I said, no, let's get one dye in, one set of dyes. So it was almost like from 3,000 to 5,000, big jump. We got the dye in, and it gave me double the life. And straight away, the math added up. And then since then, my people have been saying we want the more expensive dye. So you're right. All this data is needed, and another challenge will be implementation at the lower level of these. Of not only recording the data, but analysis, because otherwise it's useless.
Analysis, correction, improvement.
Exactly.
Based on that. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm very hopeful. It's great we had this session, and we'd like to have a session again for our industry later on. But there are certain pain points which we may be able to understand, and we'll have to work on it together.
Sure. I appreciate your feedback on ROI. I would definitely, because I have limited knowledge of the industry. But yeah, there are more things
There
that we
are
can discuss
options.
on
There are
that.
subscription options. Like you don't have to indulge into capex.
I was just about to say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Nowadays you can actually rent the system in a very, very small amount, monthly amount. So that way, there are ways we can continue on
It can
that
be
way.
made friendly to the industry. Now, first step starts with collection of data, and that is where there is a problem of standardization. How do you get data through the machines? All the machines are different brand, they are coming from different geographies, different nationalities, so they have different. I asked Shaurav to clarify on what is the standardization which is being done elsewhere in the world, and what, of course, could be done in India, and what is your experience in that regard?
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah. First of all, thank you, Mr. Khare sir and FASTNEX for having me here. This is a great opportunity for me. So, when it comes to standardization, let me touch up a little bit on the problem statement. So, like Mr. Khare sir mentioned, you have a shop floor, you have different machines. Now, the challenge there comes first from the different vendors that you have on the shop floor. Many different vendors put out their data in a proprietary format or their own format. That's problem number one. Problem number two, the machine could be as new as last month or could be as old as 20, 30 years. So the machine's capability to push out data is the other challenge, the second challenge. Now, that's where the need for standardization comes in. Without standardization, how one would go about doing it is, okay, let me collect data from all these different equipment in all the different data formats, and let me translate them to something I understand, make one-to-one translations. And if I have to say in future again buy some more machines, then I'll have to do those translations again and again, and it's very resource and time consuming. So then you try to think of it as languages being spoken among people, right? So we all speak natively different languages. Uh, and today in this panel, we are communicating in English, right? For me to learn multiple different languages to be able to communicate and get my ideas across would be very challenging. And that's where, just like how we are communicating in English right now, that's something uh, that represents the principle of standardization. Now, with standardization, all you really need to do is define the manufacturing data, the definitions, the behavior, and translate all the different machines, vendors that you have into that specific standard. An example is MT Connect. Another one is OPC UA. Uh, the primary goal there is to make machines interoperable. So you get data from machine A, B, C, D, all of them translate into a single language. Then that language, data in that language can then be read up by data scientists, data engineers to do analysis, to clean and understand data. But it also empties up that time and provides you extra time to spend on more directly value adding analysis, like we spoke about predictive, preventive maintenance. So now your engineers can actually focus on what will generate more revenue, and at the same time, they are saving time and cost, revenue, resources, cost essentially, on just cleaning up data. So specifically from standardization at the machine level and machine connectivity and extraction of data, standardization plays a huge role. And to be able to grow from one factory to an enterprise, to be able to uh, collaborate with different companies within different verticals, you get into the standardization ecosystem. You may have to address multiple different standards for, say, machine tools or 3D printers, but at the end of the day, you have an ecosystem where an integrated approach saves you a lot of time and gives you more time to focus on something, projects and tasks that would actually add to your revenue.
Well, that is the about the hardware and protocol. But when my experience is when we go to acquire data and do monitoring on shop floor, the shop floor people start looking at us suspiciously as if we are mounting a camera in their bedroom. Now that is a mindset problem. Amitabh ji, have you faced similar challenges and how do you overcome such mindset issues? And what is the importance of buy-in of the team, of the employees in
Exactly.
implementing Industry 4 journey?
Yeah, I think all this thing can be summarized with the education of the team. Um, as I think we all understand this, like you just said, putting a camera. What is going to happen? Everybody starts to understand this slowly, as the data start to coming out, and we start finding the actual um, efficiencies or the accuracy of the data. The management start to question, and that start, you know, the people, or even before that, people start to see that industry 4.0 as a threat. The team starts to think that it is going to expose my, way of working, my inefficiencies, or whatever it is, the processes. So what I have experienced, that I have always been talking about, when we implement it, very important that we bring the team together and talk about how this initiative is going to help. And this is, if you have implemented ERP systems, you can think of this very similar resistance which you are going to see from the users community. So very important that the users of this new initiative understand what is in it for them, how it is going to make their life easier, how it is going to, help the entire company and everybody, because now we will have better measurements, we'll have more accuracy, and nobody will be like one of my customers who have implemented recently. They did it so fantastic. Right from the beginning, they said to their team, whatever data is going to come out, for you have been telling me that the plant is running at 60%. I know that when the data comes out, it is going to be 50% or even less than that. I have no problem with that. That's fine. Let's start getting the data, let's start measuring, and then together we are going to improve something in those lines, so that team is with them. If you see, I'll give you one a very simple example. Initially, at one place we installed our system. Every night somebody will switch off our router, somebody will take out the wire, because they felt threatened with this new technology. Very important that your team has to be with you when you are important.
What about the threat of when you talk of disruption, which is what this is with AI coming in? They're saying when you get cars that drive themselves, the drivers know that in the next 10 years they won't have jobs, right? Here with automation and things that are coming, what about the bigger fear there? Why they may not cooperate is, forget being assessed, is about losing their jobs. So that is a fear, and how do you even convince them that that's not the case? Because that will be the case, right?
Well, to some extent, yes. The direct threat would be data entry operators, because wherever we go, we just integrate our system directly into ERP system. There is no need for at the end of the shift data entry, how many pieces have been, all those. So that is there, but at the same time, um, there are a lot of other things which you can. I mean, it's very easy for me to say that you can use your team, your additional resources to some other things, some other jobs. But yes, that is one very obvious threat.
The point being, no, that's going to happen. The point is, how are you all? I mean, since in the midst of it, we are just seeing it from the outside right now. Is how is it being percolated? How are you getting the workforce to cooperate, knowing this fact, and yet cooperating on all these things? It can't be forced because, like you said, somebody will pull out a router. My fear is we might have people on the data on the thread rolling time recording that, okay, but they may not record it accurately, right? If they don't, your entire process, if the data is not recorded accurately, eventually it has to be fed somewhere by humans, right? It's not going to be everything is down. It's going to be fed by humans. It's going to be recorded somewhere, and then eventually it has to be analyzed. If that is not done accurately because of that fear, then you're spending money, you're trying to involve an exercise, and you're facing another bigger battle within. So, one thing is to have this entire thing, but losing the complete human touch.
No,
Okay.
human touch cannot be lost.
Right.
That is one thing. And while we are on the subject, let me mention we are talking of Industry 4 all the while. There is something called Industry 5, which is also on the horn. And Industry 5 is not extension of Industry 4. It is opposite of Industry 4. Like Industry 4 says total robotic automation. Industry 5 says human touch into everything. Because Americans have realized that all the premium products I'm talking, not Parle-G biscuit, but butter cookies which are handmade. Now, butter cookies fetch you much better premium when you sell it. Same applies to Banarsi sarees. Everywhere where there are premium products, there is a human touch, human creativity, human adaptivity required. Now, that being the case, going in future, you have to have automation and machines working in tandem with human touch. So, and the approach is going to be reverse. Presently, if we have to operate a machine, we have to learn how the machine works. Going further in Industry 5, the planning is that machine should learn how human works. The machine has to adapt to human and not the other way. So, lot of things are happening, lot of things will happen. The nature of jobs will change, the job profile, the job requirement, everything is going to change. So, we have to prepare that mindset in our employees that if they have some new skill, it's always going to be more useful and it will fetch them better premium than their current job.
I would just add to that, sir. The job losses in my 5 years of Industry 4.0, I have not seen as drastic as media says at this time. Yeah. So we keep hearing about will be leaving or so many people will be jobless and all that. At least whatever I have seen so far, I may be wrong also. It's more about doing your job better. And coming to the manual entry, if I can give you a percentage, with this kind of technology, the manual entry is going to be reduced at least 80% or so, if I can use that. This is the first time I'm thinking about that. Um, the, the data will be fetched directly from the sources. So very less, and I'll give you one simple example. In our case, we ask operator to enter one mandatory input, which is the reason why this machine was down. Nothing else. If the process calls for the operator to enter rejection, that's fine. Otherwise, only one thing is needed for the operator, which has to touch on the screen, is why. Tell me. Because we cannot automate that part. The reason. We have automated automated is from this time to this time machine was not running. This is automated. Part count and all those things. But there are still a lot of things. No, a lot. I mean, 20% if I can say. So slowly, the focus of people will become how can I improve this process, or people. There will be less supervision. Operator side, I think, will remain the same as what I have seen. The supervision will reduce. The supervisors will be able to focus more on where the problem is. They don't have to go to every machine and see what's going on. They would know that there are these machines where the problem is. I have to focus my time there. So that there will be more, focused time spent by the resources, and their more time on product development. They'll be able to, I mean, there are a lot of other things, but this is how I see the change happening on the shop floor.
Now, just to make Industry 4 more attractive for fastener industry in particular, let me articulate something to draw your interest. Now, fastener industry, as per my understanding, is a mass production because it is obviously a mass production. Rate of production must be very large cycle time may be very short, and there may be a lot of automation, obviously, because of the production volume. Now, just imagine if something goes wrong in your process, let us say the cutter become blunt. Before somebody realizes, you would have produced a mountain of scrap, right? Now, with Industry 4 capability, you can do inline process monitoring. Condition monitoring of machine to do PM is one part. And that is a small part, that's a C-class item according to me. The A-class item is, if I can record the sound of the machine, if I can record the vibration of the machine, if I can record the spindle current of the machine versus time when the machining is happening, I can do 100 jobs which are okay. And I know that if this is the signature, the job comes okay.
Yeah.
And for every job thereafter, I subject it to scrutiny against that envelope of curve which should come. And anywhere, any time, if it goes out of that envelope, it gives a flag that something is wrong.
And
So that will obviate the need of inspection, number one. Each and every job is guaranteed to be correct. And you can arrest the defect at the first appearance. You don't mass produce defect, you mass produce only your product. So that, according to me, is the biggest selling point of Industry 4 kind of initiative for your kind of industry. Now, with this, Shaurav, anything you want to add?
So regarding just the previous conversation, right? Like, so it is a transition to Industry 4.0. So when you talk about role of employees, it's a transition for them as well. So it's very difficult to turn around the shop floor overnight, right? Maybe not even in a year. It takes planning, and it takes time. So skill development and training is definitely a part of it that goes along with it. And Mr. Chaturvedi sir already pointed out to uh, how they'll be focusing on more maybe technical or value added tasks as they were before, and you train them uh, to get from point A to that point B. Now, that along with training, the other aspect is at the academic level, you begin instilling that education and training so that when they graduate, they are already coming with that skill set. And one thing that I have noticed as well is with respect to Industry 4.0, it becomes very important to give both the software as well as manufacturing context, right? We have seen where software engineers were hired to address the Industry 4.0 tasks, but they didn't necessarily have the nuances of manufacturing that goes along with it, and it just didn't work out. So it's very important to understand each of the verticals involved to get to that Industry 4.0 transition. And I don't necessarily think the job loss will be that significant. It'll be more like uh, the workers are actually transitioning to a more modified and evolved version of what they were doing. Uh,
Eh,
Jobs will be lost. Jobs will be lost. Let's face that.
Now, some jobs will be lost because
Some-
automation.
yes,
But
but
then jobs are
the-
lost when you do productivity improvement. Jobs are lost when you do automation. So likewise, yes, here also some jobs will be there, and job creation still remains the biggest challenge. We still have to figure out what our next generation will do, as a matter of fact. But that remains a challenge for all of us and policymakers alike.
Khare sir, can I just take 1 minute to share a real-time example of the mass rejection?
Please.
So we have one customer. They are spring manufacturers. So they have huge, very quick, like millions of springs in short amount of time. They had this problem that for some reasons, when their tool hits a hard surface, for I now I'm forgetting the why it. After that, all the springs are defective. So what we end up doing with them is when this tool hits, we put an energy monitor. When this tool hits, there is a peak in the energy consumption. And as soon as this peak comes, we inform them that this has happened. So now, and in the next future, we are going to be stopping that machine also. But right now, we give them alert that this has happened at this time, and you start now, make sure you stop the machine and check. So there are ways to find out these abnormal behaviors of the machine, which was not possible earlier. So this was just one.
Yeah, please, please.
Since it's related to the fastener industry, we've been having auto checkers which do this for quite a few years, where the moment there is some abnormality or the die pulls back, the machine will stop. So that is there to some extent, and the benefits are seen. And they also simultaneously do the counting of the pieces, and so that data recording is there. But it's a very basic level. So that's okay.
Now with this, I throw the session open for question and answers from audience. So anybody, please come to the mic, introduce yourself, and please feel free to ask or give your views.
Always I take the chalk piece and board. Na? Yeah, this is again Professor Vivekananda, IIT Mumbai. Sir, you said very well, it was like a class session of Industry 4.0 and 4.5, 5.0. Fantastic thing, because you began stating that the interconnectivity between the machines, that means 4.0, is all about the machines and IT systems. Now, 5.0 looks combining the roles of both machines to complement the enhancement of the human beings and then the other strengths. Now, you mean to say that I'm posing a question now, that Industry 5.0 is not an alternative of, rather designed to replace the Industry 4.0?
No.
Yeah.
No, industry 5, first of all, the applicability is for the premium products manufacturing. If you are making premium butter cookies and not Parle Ji, then industry 5 is applicable, where you have to have human creativity, human adaptivity. Now, to give you an example, now welding is considered as a manual job, okay, and it is heavily dependent on skill. Now, you can put a welding robot, but it's an art of inaccuracy. Because of thermal distortion, the welding seam keeps on shifting. The robot will just follow the trajectory whether welding happens or it doesn't happen. So that is where you require some kind of adaptive automation, plus sometimes even a combination of human touch. And when I say machine adapting to human being, now we don't expect human being to type a command or a cryptic code or press a button or use remote. No. Human being should treat machine or a robot as a cooperator, and the robot has to learn. Suppose depending on the region from which the cooperator belongs, if somebody says IIO or Lahol Vilakuat, the robot should understand that when this person says this, what he means, and what the robot should do to correct the anomaly. So that is going further the direction of development of speech recognition, AI backed machines, and correct and predictable. Still, it should remain fairly predictable. The machine should not become as moody and temperamental as human being once you put AI. So machine should remain machine. Human being should do what human being is supposed to do. That is the direction. Next question, please.
Do we have any more questions?
Yes, please. Please come to the mic.
I have a suggestion, like how to integrate the human effort, human labor into the processes. So a year ago, my friend hosted a session for automation into the industry. So he informed it is not a day's process, as you mentioned. It is a linear, prolonged process. So how was machine invented? Is was to ease out our effort to make a product. So I feel AI is just another transformation to ease out our effort to produce a product. So since we've involved ourselves with labor, uh, in we have experienced that if we pinpoint someone for their mistakes, it becomes difficult to bond with them. So a process should be defined in such a way, it should be explained to the labor that we are not pinpointing you. We are just making it more efficient that the fault does not come to you.
True,
It-
true.
Yeah. So that is the reason we want to automate or we want to identify the faults. The
Correct,
only
correct.
reason the industry goes into failure is because of the faults. We want to come to zero defects. So for that we need automation. That is what we've experienced over a period of time, and that is what we are culturing.
No,
in our
basically,
employees.
we convince them that routine, mundane jobs or dangerous jobs or unsafe jobs, repetitive jobs should better be done by machines. The jobs which require skill and creativity should be done by human beings. Because all said and done about artificial intelligence,
Yes, yes,
till
yes.
date, no artificial intelligence can do shero shairi
Yeah.
and crack the right joke at the right time.
Yes, yes.
Now, that is still a human trait.
Yeah.
Now, for such human trait, you still have to integrate human creativity and adaptivity with machine.
A wonderful session, and I think one dimension that I was looking forward to hear is the sustainability, especially the eco-sustainability part of it. I don't know to what extent the fastening industry contributes to the CO2 emission. So how is the transformation leading to eco-sustainability in manufacturing using these paradigms of industry, IoT, and
Well, against this 360-degree economy initiative, the government has rolled down a lot of standards, and Industry 4 is being used in monitoring of pollutants in a bigger way. There are sensors which are measuring the river pollution, etc., and also the industrial waste. So sensors are coming everywhere, data is coming from everywhere. To that extent, yes, if it is used for sustainability, it will work wonders for sustainability as well. That initiative is already on the cards. Government is still taking it very seriously.
From our industry point of view, it has to be self-motivated. There's a lot of flouting of rules and a lot of, when you talk of far cry again from following your carbon footprint, uh, obviously there is not even government support in that. There is more disciplinary fear to do this rather than doing it out of your own will and protecting your environment from the future point of view. So it's again something that we have to sort of percolate through, like he said, not over a few years, that it will slowly start seeping in, and this can be obviously one of the points that has to be added also.
Sir, it is basically 4.0 is all about, the efficiency and decrease of the energy consumption, whereas 5.0 is all about using the renewable energy, is what you mean
No,
to...
sir. Industry 4, though it is coined for manufacturing world, but the same concepts can apply to defense, they can apply to traffic control, they can apply to pollution control. The similar technologies and similar concepts apply everywhere. Maybe 9 pillars are going to be little different depending on application. It could be applied for health services as well. Same concept.
So,
Okay.
Just
So
to
it's the-
sum what I understood from what Mr. Curry said, they don't clash. 4.0 is handling a majority part of the manufacturing part, and 5.0 is addressing the niche products. Am I right on that?
Yep. Correct. Of course, monitoring, it deserves monitoring. Carbon footprint as well deserves monitoring, inline monitoring, around the clock monitoring. So to that extent, yes, it is applicable there.
And sir, Industry 4.0, as you said, is about efficiency monitoring. That's where I always say that it's not only efficiency monitoring. It can do so many things. If you have data from all over the place, you can combine this data and come up with so many use cases. So just thinking about efficiency is a very small amount of that.
So with that, we would like to conclude our session 2.
Thank you. You have been wonderful audience, and we have really enjoyed the discussion. I'm sure my co-speakers would agree.
Thank you to all the speakers for joining us for this insightful session. It is a great moment for us here at the FASTNEX India conference to get a sneak peek into the future of the industry through the eyes of veterans in the field. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Mukesh Karya, Division Director, Messi Stuttgart, India, to join us on stage for honoring and felicitating our esteemed panelists. I also request Mr. Khare to join Mr. Karya in felicitating all the guests. A special thank you to Mr. Abhijat Sangvi for guiding us through 2 sessions with industry expertise and sparing your valuable time to be a part of this conference. Sir.
तच्चक्षुर्देवहितं वरस्तात् शुक्रमुच्छरद पश्येम शरदशतं जीवेम शरदशतं शृणुयाम शरदशतं प्रप्रवाम शरदशतं अजीवात्यानुशतं भूयश्च शरदशतात्. Hit centuries, sir. Hit centuries.
We would also like to extend our gratitude to Mr. Amitabh Chaturvedi for his insightful contributions.
स्वस्तये वायुमुपप्रवामहै सोमं स्वस्ति भुवनस्य यस्पतिः बृहस्पतिं सत्त्वगणं स्वस्तये स्वस्तय आदित्यासो नमस्तुमस्तवे.
I would request Mr. Khare and Mr. Khare to present a token of appreciation to Mr. Saurabh Kumar Singh.
शान्तिः पृथिवी शान्तिरावः शान्तिरोषधयः शान्तिः स्वस्तय वायुमुपप्रवामहै सोमं स्वस्ति भुवनस्य यस्पतिः.
Now I would like to invite Mr. P. Suresh Babu, Project Director of FASTNEX 2024, to join us on stage for the felicitation of our esteemed session moderator, Mr. Avinash Khare. Mr. Khare, we are truly happy to have you on stage with us and as a part of our conference family.
अग्निपूर्वेभिरिषिभिरीड्यो नूतनैरुत त्वमेवां नूतरक्षरम् अग्निर्मीळ पुरोहितं यज्ञस्य देव मृत्युजं होतारं रत्तधातम्.
On behalf of the Messi Stuttgart India family and FASTNEX 2024, we express our sincere gratitude to all the speakers who are present here today. I kindly request all of you to remain on stage for the official photograph.